So this was an email. I got this email. This was one of my students, and I hadn't heard from them in a while. We were training and mentoring them, and they started getting deal flow, and they locked a couple of deals, went under contract, and they kind of went radio silence for a while. And then we got an email, and so I just highlighted one part of it, because she mentioned at the top part, she's like, "Hey, Jack, this is a mother and son team," and they were working together and say, "Hey, we're looking at another house to purchase, and we got a bid from Best Home Pro, my company on the construction side, and we'll see if you have time," et cetera, et cetera. She's just going through some stuff and maybe wanting to help raising money, and they raised private money, by the way, on their first initial deals. And then she said, "Oh, by the way, we closed on our first sale last week. Our profit was about $76,000. I think we're off to a good start. Hope is all is well with both of you." So occasionally I get emails and messages like that from my students, and why is that, right? It's because they had a system, they had a franchise model, they had fundamentals. Like they had whenever they executed these things. The slide got bumped around. This was supposed to be earlier, but they executed their flip properly, right? They bought it right, they managed the rehab right, and then when it came time to price it in order to make $76,000, what did they do? They executed some things. They priced it right. They took care of make sure everything was proper in the listing. They had good photos. They did not stage actually, but staging is sometimes required. Most times it's not. They did the proper maintenance on the property. I've seen investors, they have a property sitting for 30, 45 days. They don't mow the yard. There's like dead roaches, all that kind of stuff. They knew how to analyze the offer, and they didn't fumble the ball managing the inspection when the inspection report comes in. So there's some skill sets and strategies you need for that. But that's what they did. Then they essentially went out and executed the 7 fundamentals, right? When they came in, and we trained them up on how to do those things, and they just went out and executed a franchise model. And so that's what real estate's about. It's about knowing the 7 fundamentals. So having these 7 fundamentals in your business, so that it produces a sustainable business model for you that's built to last, with multiple exit strategies. And I want to touch on this again about what I said earlier about the number one most overused excuse I hear real estate investors make. It's like, I can't invest in real estate because I don't have any money. But I'm sorry, guys, like the excuse department is like it's closed. Why? Because you don't even need it, and it doesn't work. Like making excuses in your business, like, is that going to get you places, right? Because if you stop making excuses, then maybe you'll start looking for solutions. So this is something that I think is the reason why people think that way, right? Think I don't have any money, so I can't do real estate. So I want to share this conversation real quick, and I want to talk about, how I believe that a lot of us are wired, right? So a lot of us are raised, right, by majority of Americans are raised like in middle class or lower income families. And you maybe you've seen your parents struggle or just grind it out, and we hear all this stuff, kind of like this Dave Ramsey kind of stuff, like, not taking a shot at Dave Ramsey, but I guess I kind of am, about not having not to go into debt, right? So we hear this conversation about like not going into debt, and like I agree, like bad debt, like you don't go into bad debt. But we look at how the U.S. government is printing money these days and the rate of inflation, like everything has changed. Like the idea of, working at a company and saving up for, or investing in the stock market or in your 401k, blah, blah, blah. Like if you think that's going to produce the results that maybe worked like a half a century ago, like newsflash, but it doesn't work. And if you think that just staying out of debt is going to get you anywhere, like if you're like me and you started with nothing, like you have to learn to leverage good debt. I used a credit card as a down payment. Like I borrowed $7,000 off of a credit card with 0% interest, which is kind of cool. But I used that to buy my first investment property. I leveraged my credit card, right? That wasn't bad debt, was it? Like I bought a rental property with it that I owned for 8 years. I had the same tenant in it for 6 years. So you have to learn to leverage good debt in order to get rich and create success in real estate. It's just the way the game is played, and things have changed, my friends. If you can't do this, like, I don't know what other strategy you're applying. Maybe you're creating the next Facebook or Uber or whatever, but you got to learn the difference between good debt and bad debt if you want to play this game and play it well. And that was me, man. Like I just started. I like to say I had a dream and a drive, and I had a credit card, and that's what I used. And I learned the difference, right? Like I started reading a lot about Kiyosaki and other successful entrepreneurs about how to use leverage in order to create wealth and create success, and how to leverage good debt and at the same time staying away from bad debts. This isn't using your credit card to like go out and buy some shoes and a vacation or whatever. Like this is about using debt in order to create success.